Mark Farner is, well, pretty mad at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He has a lot of choice words to say. We've got clips from a few other interviews. I think I've interviewed Mark 6 or 7 times. It's always entertaining. That and a lot more on Rock History Music. I know how you feel about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I get a feeling, I don't know, how you feeling about the whole thing? Huh?
I hope you're right, brother. Serious. I feel like, if it happens, good. But it's, and they know. I have not hidden it from anyone how I feel about, because the people have no say so in who goes into the Rock Hall, who is inducted, and who actually ends up in the Rock Hall. And there is a lot of controversy over who actually goes in there, and even more controversy over who is not allowed to be there because the people didn't get a say so. It's kind of like our country. Here we are, the government's making all these decisions. Well, the people in the Rock Hall that own the Rock Hall making all these decisions, they don't give us a say so, and the government does not give us a say so. That's the way things are. But we the people are screaming out to be heard, man.
Do you think with Jan Wenner, they say he's been kicked out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as the board? Do you think that will make a difference? Do you think that, I always think of you guys in there.
Well, in the first place, you gotta just cipher that out. Who are they that are saying? They say, is that mainstream saying that by chance? Those lion ass, no good scum sucking pig dogs?
You're getting in next year for sure.
Yeah, it's smoke and mirrors, brother. Yeah. It's politics, and politics stink. It's only rock and roll that keeps us together as a community.
Do you any new movement with Mel and
I pray for them. I pray for those guys every day. They're part of my prayer ritual. They're just off their path, Brother John. And it's easy to get off the path. So many people got off the path. I'll be 75 on the 29th.
And you look good.
I've earned control of my music. Thank you.
What the heck?
Yeah, man. He's not even in it.
Is there a point where, and each time I've talked to you, is there a point where if they did want you to join the fold, legally it's probably more complicated than people know. I don't know. You tell me, but is there a point where you wouldn't go back, or what are your thoughts on going back with Grand Funk if it ever came up?
No, if I was treated fairly, if I was, 1/3 of what was going on, and we all shared thirds, well, that would be amicable. Under any other circumstances, I will continue to do what I'm doing. But I have, for 24 years now, I have said, if they wanted to go back out and give the fans what neither one of us can give the fans separately, if they want to give them the original tree in that recipe, I'm willing. Let's go do it. But every time that is met with laughter, and it's just, they diss on it, and it's like, I wish that I could say to you, what's going on even now. It's just absolutely criminal what is allowed to go on in law. And then, in order to even question it, you got to file a lawsuit. So.
Oh, Shea Stadium. Everyone asks about Shea Stadium. I'm going, what was that feeling like, touching down, going on that stage? Obviously it was great, but do you remember that?
Absolutely.
Yes. And the fact that for years I had been, you know, telling people about landing the helicopter in the parking lot, but there was no limousine there. So the cop cars picked us up. Then we went over to Shea Stadium in the cop cars, lights and sirens going, you know. We get out, slide into the limousine, and drive in to the stadium and to Shea and get out of a limo rather than to get out of the cop cars. And over the years, you know, just having said that and visualizing, you know, because you're recapsulizing in your mind this film that you got that originated right there. So to have that adoration it seemed like the fans were just focused. Their volume, you know, the volume, their mouths, their love was pouring out. And because of the shape, that semicircle of Shea Stadium, it was coming right to second base where the stage was set up. And you couldn't have did it better. I'm telling you, that the love that was shared that night, oh my God.
It's selling it out faster than the Beatles.
Yeah, actually. And this was before there was any online sales. Online sales didn't start until like a year after that. And you can check that out on the internet. But I hear somebody from the faux funk was saying that it wasn't any big deal because of online sales, and that there wasn't any online sales. Every ticket was sold from that ticket office. They camped out. They were in tents. They were in sleeping bags on the lawn of Shea to wake up and be the first ones in that line. That is the truth of it. That's the real truth of it. But some people don't want to recognize that there was that much power, that much love, brother, that brought us together. And I'm always giving it to love, because it's love that makes the things that are historic, it makes them happen. It's always going to be love.
Well, the song was inspired by actual life events. And my first wife, Sherry, who was in the kitchen in a rage, threatening to put a 12-inch cast iron skillet through my forehead, that was inspired. I was sitting in at the piano and I started playing these chords. Well, it was bad time. And I'm thinking, let her be somebody else's queen. You know, I don't want to know about this stuff. You know? And so I just started singing the way I felt. And evidently, a lot of other people were feeling the same way, Brother John, because in 1975, that song was played more than any other song. And I got a BMI award. It was the only, BMI award that I ever received. But it got more airplay than any other song in 1975. However, it didn't go to number one. It only went to like number 3. But it got played more than the one that went to number 1 because people were calling in and requesting it, dude.
Your guitar playing is insane, man. I swear to God.
Thank you. Well, that's drop D, but it's in 4/3/2. It's not in 4/40. It switched in 1953 from 4/3/2 to 4/40. And Rockefeller was very much had a lot to do with that. He was the money behind making that change. But I'm back in 4/3/2, man, and I'm in their face with it. They are the ones who tell me what this paper in my pocket is worth. It ain't real.
Well, by the way, I was watching some videos this morning of you guys on stage, and I'm going, man, I mean, you're still in great shape, but you were cut, man. You're like, geez. I was telling my son he works out almost every day. And he's like a big muscle guy, but not big. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
did you exercise a lot back then?
No, it was, exercise was a stage show, and I farmed. I was baling hay, throwing hay, and you putting hay bales on a conveyor. And then when you get up in the hay mow and you're throwing, you don't have a shirt on. Forget about that shirt. I mean, it would just slow you down. And we would take a hose and rinse the chaff of the hay off, or go jump in the lake across the street, take your clothes off and dive off the tailgate of the pickup into the deepest part of the lake. Yeah, it was, that was a good lifestyle. I still live a farm lifestyle, but I don't bale hay like I used to, but I'm shoveling, I'm cutting firewood with a chainsaw, stacking wood, splitting wood, doing things that takes physical activity to do. And I don't walk from one place on the farm to the next place, or I don't, just jump on a dirt bike and ride. I run over to the next place. I run down to the garden. I run back to the house. I run out into the woods. I run down to the shooting range. And, because singers have to keep our air up. That's probably the biggest thing. The endurance comes from being able to last and sing the long notes, sing them out just like you did on the record. They don't want a little short note. They want all of that note to come out. The fans appreciate that so much, brother.
What's your opinion on other power trios like Mahogany Rush, James Gang, Triumph, Jimi Hendrix? Of course, they were a trio. Do you have opinions on other power trios?
Yeah, man. It's fresh cream. I mean, that first album Cream came out with, oh my God. The tone, Clapton, yeah, that Gibson, through whatever amp he was playing through, it was the whip, man. And of course Hendrix, he was for me, he was my guitar god. I loved that he could make that guitar sing. He could make it cry. He could make it speak. It spoke to me. And, and Rush, Geddy Lee, the voice, the sound of everything that, as it came together, as that song came out, there was certain bands that had that anointing. It was like an anointing. It's like, Elvis had an anointing on him. The Beatles had an anointing on them. And we have, because it captures spiritually, it captures a part of us that brings to our focal point something we didn't even realize was within us. But the music helps bring it out.
Bill Simzik, I just, of the Eagles fame and James Gang and all that stuff. I just interviewed him, and just before we left, I said, wait, Bill. He says, okay, what? I says, who did you want to produce and never produce? And you know what he said? Big Country, of all things, from England. And then he said, but mostly Rush. I said, what? Bill Simzik producing? I was just floored, Mark. I said, what? He says, because I wanted to work with the best musicians in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was listening to Closer to Home, I'm Your Captain again this morning. I listened to it last night, listened to it last week. And I thought to myself, what is it about this song that makes me, that solidifies why I love music so much? And I got a Beatles vibe almost, because it doesn't sound like the Beatles, but it does something that the Beatles did. And it took me, I mean, short of the name, it took me for a journey. I remember going, I'm at this, it's almost like in my brain, I was saying, I'm over here. A lot of music doesn't bring me over here in my mind's eye, in my mind. There was something, and I went, this is the way I feel when I listen to Beatles music.
I hear you. That's and I equate it to a special anointing that is on that kind of music, that because that song in particular, I prayed for. After I said now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to, the prayer our mothers taught us. and blessed everybody in the family. You know, you go down the list, and then I put a PS on the end of my prayer, and I said, would you give me a song that would reach and touch the hearts of those you want to get to? I got up in the middle of the night. I was not in a conscious state of mind. I was halfway between heaven and earth someplace. And I have a steno pad next to my bed, just like right now. I could go up there and grab a pen and paper and write down what's on my mind, because so many times I've lost the best songs I could have written. I lost them thinking, oh, I'll remember that in the morning. No way, it's gone. So I roll up and I just start writing words. I don't know. I didn't even think at the time that, oh, here's the answer to your prayer. No, I was not even there. I didn't consider that. All I considered was, wow, this feels great. This where I'm at in my head. It's in that spot, Brother John, where the music takes you. There I was. And I knew better than to go back to the top of the page. Once I started writing, I had to continue with that train of thought and not rehash what I had just written to take me to the next verse. Like you might, if you were just trying to write a song, you got a jam. I would go over, any other song, I would read this first verse. It might lead me to something special to add to the second verse or whatever. But at this point in time, I knew not to. I just knew that would stop the flow if I took my eyes back to the top of the page. So I keep my eyes down here. I keep writing, and I would just kind of close my eyes, and the next line would come, and I'm there, getting this, receiving this. And in the morning when I got up, I just went about my daily thing. I went out, made a coffee. I got a George Washburn acoustic guitar sitting there in the kitchen on a stand. I picked that George Washburn up and I went, what the heck is that? Where did that come from? It was kind of inspirational to me. I'm looking at the horses out in the pasture. I'm out in the country. The wind is blowing a little bit, and I'm seeing the fields. And it was just a beautiful, the sun coming up. It was a beautiful picture. And I thought, as I grabbed this C chord, and it was an inversion of a C I had never made prior. I reached across, but I left my finger, my pinky and my ring finger down, and I hit the two, the C that makes the C, the two strings that make that C chord, but it chimed with a special harmonic that just, at that moment in my kitchen, I was like, wow, that is magic. I'm looking at that chord, dude, and I'm thinking, oh, I got to memorize this. Where are my fingers as I'm writing it down? And I got my cassette recorder there. I think of, oh, those words in the other room. So I go and grab the words, bring them back in. I laid them on the table, and dude, I start playing, grabbing that C chord. Everybody listen to me. It just started coming, man. It started, and I got the red button on that little cassette recorder pushed. So I'm getting this as it's coming. And it even got, to the break. Am I in my cabin dreaming? It's where it slows down. I knew, and as I'm playing this, I'm thinking, what is that? What am I feeling? But man, as soon as I hit that D minor, it was like, oh yeah, that's where it's going. It's slowing down. Oh yeah, here we go. And I am just loving, and then I think, because a lot of times when you think that you're onto a song, and then you take it to the guys, and it's like, yeah, it's mediocre, but man, I said, this song, oh my God, it's really touching my heart. And I didn't even think until I got to rehearsal and played the song for Don and Mel. And they said, Farner, man, that song's a hit. And as Brewer said that to me, I thought, dude, I prayed for that song. It ought to be a hit. I prayed for that song. They going, what? And then I told them, the story. And at the time, because that was during the Vietnam War, there was a lot of love and emotion tied to that song, because our vets, our Vietnam veterans, God bless their hearts, they were hanging on to any word that would remind them of home and give them hope of returning home. And being that my dad was a tank driver in the 7th Armored Division, World War II, and my mother was the first woman in the United States to weld on Sherman tanks at Fisher Body in Flint, Michigan, I had a little of that in my genes, and many of my friends that went to the Vietnam War came back different people. And because, and I think the biggest thing, Brother John, is there was no video to that song. This was before MTV and before all the videos ruined all the music. And I liken it to, as I was doing an interview with a DJ at WNEW New York City, he was telling me that they asked 100 people to write the definition of the song Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. And he says, Farner, man, we got 100 diversely different definitions. Not any two were even close. And I went, bingo. And that's when, there's a metaphor to that. And it's like when people read a book and then they go to see the movie, they always say that movie sucked compared to the book, because it was their imagination that was running the film as they were reading through the pages. That's missing in our society. That's missing in our world today, our imagination and our, we've been stifled by videos. It's just one thing. You watch it and that's what it is, my God. No, that ain't what it is, man. I say, turn the video off, listen to the lyrics, and let's see what's real music and what isn't.
Remember when we were young, we all went through periods of, you go to a party and sometimes you go downstairs in the basement and there's like 15 people just all sitting around. They're talking if they can between the songs, but we're listening all together, listening to music.
That's it, buddy. Yes, I miss that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
If you want to donate to the channel, there's a PayPal link at the very top of every video we have. Also, if you want to join our Patreon, there's a link at the very top. You'll get early access to all our videos. And a swag store. Yes, we have one where you can get rock history music and all the clothing that goes with it with those great logos. Subscribe to our channel, share our videos, comment on them, and like them as well. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Take care of yourself.